Okay, so it seems that recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with ShyLily. Now, again, this is one that has been kind of resolved in the sense that we have a conclusion to it as well, but essentially she was called out by another VTuber called Sumi for essentially something pretty interesting, right? And that is, of course, blocking her. This is the post that they put up saying this is incredibly silly to do as a VTuber. The act of ownership on a style or look that turns into a form of hate. This is getting out of hand. So they're essentially claiming that ShyLily blocked her because they're both kind of like themed VTubers, right? And this has been an issue that has gone on for quite a while. There's been many people that have been called a copy of ShyLily or a copy of Bao or Bao copied someone or ShyLily copied someone or whatever, because again, a lot of them tend to look pretty similar due to the fact that, you know, a lot of sea animals look pretty similar. Of course, it has like now kind of slowly turned into something where, you know, they're just kind of accepting that a lot of them are going to look the same, which I think is, you know, fair enough. And that's the conclusion that they've come to. But of course, yeah, they're claiming that, you know, ShyLily had blocked them due to them being another kind of like sea animal kind of VTuber, right? Which of course I think, you know, I don't know, that's a lot to infer from just being blocked from by someone. And of course we'll go into the actual reason that she did block them in just 1 second as we go through a lot of the context. And you can pretty much see here as well, like, of course, she has a pretty, you know, cool design, right? I mean, it's a sea kind of design too, with the whole tail and everything like that, and it does have like very similar ears and everything, but of course it is different in its own way, and I think there's a lot of details that separate the two. I don't think, you know, they look similar whatsoever, and yeah, I think that is essentially the case that a lot of people have been bringing up, right? But it seems that we have an update from Sumi as well, kind of going over this, saying, I'll be closing this post as ShyLily has given a formal apology, and I do not hold grudges against anyone. This was an upsetting misunderstanding that was blown way out of proportion, but has been mended. Thank you everyone for the kind support. And obviously, ShyLily there puts a message, direct message into them saying, hey Sumi, I was sent your recent tweet about you being blocked by me, and I just wanted to clarify and apologize. I have genuinely no idea why you are blocked. I did a super quick scan of your profile, scrolling as far as I could, just to maybe refresh my memory as to why, and the only thing I can find is you responding to some AI art accusations at the beginning of the year. Though perhaps someone tried to call you out or anything like that, I don't know, man, and I simply hit block. It's the only thing that makes sense to me since your account is very, very fresh. I judged you soon or did not look closely enough if that is the case. So, yeah. That seems to be the response of ShyLily. Now, of course, it seems like there's a little bit more to that message, and maybe there wasn't. It is just like the little bit of the message cut off, but it would be interesting if there was more to that. But yeah, she obviously says that she pretty much has no idea why she was blocked, and that, you know, there wasn't like a specific reason as to why she did it. Now, of course, I think that is understandable, right? As someone, you know, myself, I've blocked people before on, you know, places like Twitter and whatever, and I'm just like, why did I block them again? Like, I have zero clue why I blocked them. And it could just be for something like completely random that, you know, I just can't remember. Because, again, nobody wants to remember the people you block, right? You just kind of do it and then you forget about it and you never think about them again, right? That is usually what happens. But, of course, yeah, in this case, she doesn't have any idea as to why she did do it. But I'm assuming she unblocked her. I don't know. We'll have to see. But it seems like that is the formal apology. Now, they said they will be closing the post, right? And you can see that all of the replies are now closed. But I do find it interesting that maybe, you know, the post is still up, right? I feel like maybe, you know, you should have just taken the post down. Because, of course, I feel like they were jumping to conclusions quite quickly, right? They jump to conclusions in the sense that they assume that it must be due to the fact that they are both, you know, sea creature kind of VTubers, obviously her being a jellyfish, I think it is, and obviously ShyLily being I'm assuming it's a jellyfish thing, as that's her emoji thing there, and obviously ShyLily being, you know, an orca. But of course, you know, that was just completely inferred, right? And I mean, I can understand why someone would think that, and I can understand why someone would maybe draw that conclusion. But I did think it was a little bit hasty in the sense of just like trying to go straight to that just because you've been blocked. It could have been for a multitude of reasons, especially as ShyLily says, you know, there's been previous stuff of them apparently speaking against AI accusations that they had or something like that, which of course could also be a valid reason as to why they blocked them, right? But of course, yeah, I think it is the kind of jumping to conclusions that maybe some people have a little bit of an issue with. And I do find it a little bit odd, right? I find it a little bit odd that the post is still up, right? Because obviously this is false, you know, the act of ownership or whatever. Obviously this seems to be false by what ShyLily has said. So maybe just delete the post, because obviously a lot of people are still going to see it regardless of whether you close the replies or not, right? And it still paints ShyLily in a bad light when obviously she didn't actually mean it, right? But again, maybe they came to some kind of conclusion themselves where, you know, she doesn't delete the post. But again, I feel like it would just make sense to delete it. I don't know why you wouldn't, unless maybe because it's getting views. I'm not sure. But again, lots of people have been commenting down here. Oh no, not okay. Only a couple of people have been commenting saying, "I'm sure she totally didn't block you." Sarcasticism. Says, nice to see a happy outcome of this. This is true. Happy to end on a good note. To always meet your heroes. Also, this came across my timeline. You still seem like a very nice lady. Then blocking it over AI is wild. So there's a huge controversy with an artwork I posted where someone harassed me and my followers in the thread, claiming my art was AI, but it's debunked heavily. I think to a quick eye, it may have looked really bad. So wow, I'm shocked she responded so quickly. Her PR game is on point since the whole Cinder thing. So see, I told you, she's too good of a person to not investigate the issue at least a little, though I've been blocked for weirder and less usual things when I said drop it to a comment instant block. So yeah, a lot of people have been just commenting on that one. There's probably been some quote retweets as well. I mean, the replies are locked on this one too, which is interesting. I don't know if it's had a bit of a negative you know, connotation. He was saying, after seeing how you hide normal respectful comments criticizing your words and actions on both posts and the amount of hate people now spew about ShyLily in your comments due to your unfair and incorrect assumptions, only proves to me that you should be blocked by people. So yes, these are VTuber memes. Does not like this post at all. Then what do you think, chat? Sincere or damage control? Obviously some people under the kind of impression that maybe ShyLily was doing some damage control or whatever due to this. But again, as I said, from like someone who is, you know, who is active on Twitter and stuff and, you know, has blocked people before, I have also, you know, done exactly the same thing ShyLily has done, in the sense of I blocked someone, found it a couple months later, I'm just like, why the hell did I do that? And either I choose to unblock them or I go, well, there was probably a reason why I did that, so I just kind of leave it how it is, right? I think all of us have done that maybe at some point. So it's an understandable you know, reasoning, but obviously some people are still going to be skeptical. Say, I'll give credit where credit is due. She gained some respect from me. I respect the willingness to communicate a problem and sort it out, which I think is, yeah, fair enough, right? Because this could have been way worse, right? This could have been one of these big situations where she puts out a public thing, you know, talking about it, say, hey guys, you know, I didn't block her for this or that or whatever, and it ends up being some big drama. Whereas it seems that this is, you know, the kind of more mature and better way to kind of handle it, right? In the sense of just going into the DMs, be like, hey, I have no clue why you're blocked. You know, just like telling it straight how it is. And yeah, I mean, that is the good way to handle it, right? I think a lot of VTubers should learn from that, right? Of course, you know, it did get made public because Sumi did put out the, you know, response publicly. But I also think at the same time, it's much better than obviously like responding to it in like quote retweets or with a Google Doc or something like that, right? It's just so much better to see people actually communicating in DMs rather than going for each other's throats in YouTube videos, Twitter threads, Google Docs, Google Slides, whatever, right? Whatever it is, whatever the kind of form of you know, thing it is. They said, I would block you too for making stuff for engagement. Ooh. So this is why you don't assume the blocking. And yeah, I think that is like the mess up on Sumi's part, right? Because again, if people block you, sometimes it's just like, oh well, right? Sometimes it is just like a, okay, like just like move on, right? But at least for me personally, right? Whenever I see if someone's blocked me, it's like, okay, sure, and a bit weird, but whatever. But of course they did jump to conclusions quite quickly, which I think is the bit where, you know, obviously Sumi messed up. And I do think, you know, leaving this up, despite obviously having a pretty good reasoning from ShyLily, is interesting, right? Because it either means A, she doesn't believe her, because else it would still be up, right? But it seems like she believes her in the post that she put up. Or B, you know, maybe she wants a little bit of engagement from you know, this post still being up, right? Because again, as I said, I feel like there's no need to have this post still up, especially with the assumptions that you are making, which are obviously, you know, are not true, right? So again, maybe I would take down this post, but maybe you know, I could also understand maybe it's up to provide a bit of context as to you know, why. And I mean, you know, she did post the reply in the replies down here, but as we know, sometimes it pops up in people's feeds. They don't look at the full conversation, and then they just assume something about ShyLily or any other VTuber that gets kind of, you know, a post made of them like this. So again, I think there's lots of different kind of aspects to it, which you could probably discuss, right? People saying this is a new old low for Lily. Sumi being chillish, and Lily, who claimed to not want to engage in drama, now does. She knew it would be screenshotted. Her reasoning is so retarded. I wonder if it was even PR approved. But again, she grew because of Veibe's drama too. So yeah, so what some people are saying as well. So now imagine if you put this much effort into actually starting a VTuber career instead of farming online drama for successful VTubers or being blocked. VTubers are the worst. VTweeters, sorry, the worst. So yeah, it's pretty mixed, right? Some people against ShyLily, some people against you know, Sumi there, in the sense of, you know, some people think that she's trying to get attention or whatever, which I can understand that kind of perspective, but I can also understand the perspective of, you know, some people being skeptical about ShyLily's reasonings for blocking her as well. But again, you know, we have the kind of response from her. We know what she has said in response to it, so that's all we can really go off, right? Some people saying, I find this incredibly amusing because ShyLily went through the same thing with Veibe, where people thought she was copying her accent for calling her a clone. And calling her a clone. The VTuber industry is the fakest I've ever seen. And obviously as well, Powder actually responds down here saying, there isn't much context here as to why ShyLily blocked her. I think it's very possible it was for Sumi and her friend running a cancel campaign against an artist not too long ago. She was upset for a $500 commission wasn't as good as someone else's $1,000 commission. Could it have been also that ShyLily and her both CTubers? Sure, but I think this reason is more likely. And yeah, obviously they're pointing towards that other stuff as well. Obviously, Juju saying, if you have an original design, they bully for you. If you copy and paste, they block you. So yeah, as I said, very, very mixed in terms of the responses to this. But as we know, this is the kind of outcome of it. Obviously, ShyLily blocked Sumi, and then obviously Sumi assumed that it was over them being a C-tuber, or a C-tuber, is that how you call it? A C-tuber? A sea creature tuber. And then, of course, ShyLily then responded in DM saying she had no clue why she did it. Could have been over some, you know, accusations or claims that came out on Twitter, and she just didn't really do much research. And that was about it, right? That's essentially the full situation. That's what's gone on. And yeah, we've gone over some of the kind of responses as well. But yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. So yeah.